Hi everyone, welcome to Geography today. Today we're thinking about our weather patterns. And what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be having a little reflect over the last half term of what we've been doing. Because we are going to continue weather patterns, but we're going to be having a look at some more extreme weather over the next few weeks. So today we're just going to be showing what we've learned so far about the weather patterns in the United Kingdom, near the poles and near the equator. Okay, so let's remind ourselves of the things we've learned about the weather patterns in the last few lessons. So you can either talk to the people in the room what you can remember so far, or you can jot down your ideas on a piece of paper. So pause the video here and have a chat about what you can remember so far about weather patterns and weather. Okay, I bet you recalled so many things, didn't you? You are so clever. Well done. Okay, let's see. So now my first question is, in what ways can daily weather be different to seasonal weather? So what's the difference between daily weather and seasonal weather? Pause the video here. Have a chat to the person in the room. Okay, welcome back. So let's go through it then. So daily weather, oh, my picture's taking over that picture there. Let me put myself there. Daily weather can change throughout the day, can't it? The daily weather is on the current atmospheric conditions. So what's actually happening right now, okay? And it can depend on various factors. So it can depend on the time of day. It can depend on the season that we're in. It can depend on lots of different things. It can depend on which way the wind is blowing to how the weather changes. So, for example, as well, in one day you could get sun and rain because the weather is always moving. The daily weather can change on a day-to-day basis. However, seasonal weather, well, that's a little bit different because seasonal weather is very similar across a 3-month period. So if we have a look here, can you remember your seasons? The spring, summer, autumn, and winter. So, with those 4 different seasons, they span across 3 months. Okay. And across those 3 months, there is a common weather patterns that are observed every year over time. So, always, for example, you are going to hopefully get sun in the summertime and warm sun as well. And in the wintertime, often you can get snow and freezing conditions, but you wouldn't get freezing conditions in the summertime, would you? No, that wouldn't work at all. So that's how daily weather and seasonal weather are different. Daily weather can change within hour to hour and within a few hours, where seasonal weather is pretty consistent across a 3-month period. Okay. Now then, I want you to make a line. You've got this on your worksheet. How often do we have fog and mist during summer? Okay, so pause the video, mark it down. Is it never, or is it all the time, or in between? Okay, this is where I drew mine. I didn't draw it on the absolute never, because sometimes on a very warm summer's morning, you can wake up and there's still a little bit of mist around. So I didn't put never, but it doesn't happen all the time in the summer at all. And we definitely don't get fog and mist in the day in the summer because it's too warm. Okay, let's move to the next one. Make a line, mark on the line, to show how often we have hot sunshine during the spring. Is it never? Is it between that? Is it all the time? Pause the video. Have a go now. Okay, this is where I put mine. I wonder if it's similar. So I didn't put it that we have it all the time because sometimes we get hot sunshine in the spring. We get it more often now than we previously did. In the spring, you can have a variety of seasonal weather. Sometimes you can even have snow in spring. It really does depend. But for example, last spring, that was when we had to first go into our lockdown, wasn't it? And it was really, really warm. So that's why I've put not all the time, but near to this end. It's not never, but it's not all the time, but it's more further to that end. How did you get on with that? Brilliant. Now, last one, mark on the line to show how often we have rain showers during autumn. Pause the video. Have a go now. Okay, what did you decide? Let's see. I put mine about there because we do have rain in autumn. We do have rainy showers, but we don't have it all the time and we don't not have it at all. So it does happen. I'd say it's a little bit more frequent than never, but you do also get very dry days as well in the autumn. And you do also get cool days in the autumn, but it doesn't always rain shower. Okay, how did you get on with that? Similar? Fabulous. Okay, I'm going to put myself right in the middle. There we go. So, can you think of words now, and you've got this on your worksheet, to describe the typical weather during each season in the UK? So what kind of words would you use for spring? What would you use for summer? What would you use for winter? What words would you use for autumn? What words would you use to describe the typical weather in each of these seasons? So think about the season, think about what type of weathers you would have. Pause the video here. Have a go at that now. Okay, would you like to see mine? So I started with spring and I said, well, in spring we have warm weather, not hot, warm. So it's a bit different to summer sun. It's warm, you can go out without a jacket, but some days you might still need to wear a jacket. We have showers as well, don't we? Because it's not always dry in spring because you need the showers to create those beautiful flowers. And sometimes it can be a little bit windy as well. There's a little rhyme that says, March winds and April showers, forth bring May flowers. So sometimes we do get a lot of wind as well. Now for the summer, it's definitely hot in the summer, isn't it? And it's sunny. It's sunny quite a lot as well. And we think back to last summer, again, when we were in lockdown, it was boiling hot. It was so warm, wasn't it? And then also it's very dry. Okay, you can't really see that word there. I'll just move myself over a little bit. It's dry, isn't it? It does rain, but not as often as it does in spring and not as often as it does in autumn or winter. Oh, excuse me. Now, what about winter? Well, it's very cold in winter, isn't it? We get freezing mornings, we have ice on the cars, we have icy playground. So it's very cold in winter. It's different to spring. It's definitely different to summer. It's the opposite to summer, isn't it? We sometimes get snow as well, don't we? We definitely did this winter. And we get ice. So it's the opposite to the summer when we get hot and dry sunny weather. It's cold, it's snowy, it's icy. And the temperature is much lower. And then in autumn, we have cool weather, a little bit different to spring. Spring is when everything is starting to warm up. In the autumn, everything is starting to cool down. We've had the summer where it's been beautiful and warm, and now it's starting to cool down. Sometimes it can be dry, but sometimes we can also have showers. And we talked about that before, didn't we? Sometimes it's dry and sometimes it's showery. Did you get any other different words to me? Fabulous. Okay, let's move on then. Oh, I forgot windy on there as well. Okay, I'm definitely going to have to move my picture to like here now because we've got lots of questions to ask. So now we're going to be thinking about coastal areas and inland areas. And we did this probably right towards the beginning of our geography topic. Okay, so in what ways can the weather differ between coastal areas and the weather inland? So remember, coastal areas are on the edge of the country by the sea, and inland is the places that are in the middle of the country. So how can those weathers be different? Pause the video, talk to the person in the room. Okay, let's come back then. Let's see what you spoke about. I've got here. So in coastal areas, there's more sunshine. Did you get that? Yes. And sometimes there can be strong winds because the wind is coming from the sea. So it's moving across the sea and onto the coastal areas. But also it's warmer in winter than it is in the inland areas. And that's because it is by the sea, and that has a slightly higher temperature than it would in the inland areas. So in the coastal areas, we have more sunshine, stronger winds, and it's warmer than in winter than the inland. However, in the inland areas, there is less wind and less sunshine as well. The sun seems to shine more towards the coastal areas because the winds are higher, blowing those clouds away, than it is in the inland areas. And we have more rain in the inland areas, less rain in coastal areas, but more rain on the inland areas because the wind is blowing those clouds from the sea, from the coast, into the inland areas and creating more rain. And also, it's cooler than the coastline in winter. So although the coast has a warmer temperatures, in the inland it is cooler. Did you get those? Fabulous. Okay. Now, do you remember when you were a weather forecaster? And do you remember when you had to do your weather forecast? That was really fun, wasn't it? And Isabella's, was just absolutely brilliant. We loved that so much. So well done, Isabella. That was great. Now, what information helps us and the weather forecasters predict what the weather would be like? Where did they get their information from? How do they find it? Pause the video here. Have a think about that now. Okay, shall we share? Let's go then. So what helps weather forecasters predict the weather? Well, weather patterns from the past help them. So they look at what used to happen before and they can predict kind of what the weather might be for the next year. And information and photographs from satellites. Remember we talked about satellites go round the world and they're taking pictures of the Earth, and that's where they can get information as well. Now, do you remember the equator? I've lost my ball now. I think it might... No, it's gone. So the equator, remember, was round the middle of the world. Do you remember? So how is the weather different in places near the equator? That means the middle of the Earth, to the United Kingdom, which is further up the Earth from the equator. Okay, so pause the video here. Have a chat to the person in the room. Okay, did you decide? Let's see. So countries near the equator, it's much hotter, isn't it? Countries that I really can't find my ball. I don't know where it went. Unless it was actually my dog's ball, so I did take it away from her. She's probably taken it back now. So it is much hotter, isn't it, near the equator? Because that is where the sun shines onto it a lot more. And also, they only really experience two types of seasons. They experience the dry season, where it's very, very hot, and they experience the wet season, where they have monsoons, and it's very wet, although it's still very, very hot. It doesn't get cold like it does in the UK. It still remains a constant temperature of warm, but it does become quite wet. Whereas in the UK, temperatures can vary across the seasons. From the summer to the winter, it's very, very different, isn't it? And then also, we have 4 different seasons. So where the equator only has the wet and the dry season, we have 4. Can you remember what they are? Summer, spring, autumn, winter. Fabulous. Now, how is weather in the places near the North or South Pole different to the weather in the United Kingdom? Pause the video here. Have a go at answering that. Okay, let's see. What did you decide? So, in the North Pole, do you remember that in winter they have no sunlight for 6 weeks and it's dark all the time? And there's ice and snow on the ground all year round. And also, in the summer, the sun doesn't set, so it's light for nearly 6 weeks. However, in the winter in the UK, we just have shorter days. It doesn't get dark earlier all the time. It just gets darker earlier, doesn't it?